Lack of motivation is the reason you don't want to try. Lack of motivation is the reason you can't see inside. Lack of motivation. Keep your eyes off of mine. Lack of motivation. You don't even know where to fly. Alright, here it is. You already know what it is. Holla at your boy, Mr. Easy Does It. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is. Holla at your boy. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Lack of motivation, man. I'm taking a full spectrum of what's going on in the world, man. And it's a facade of a shield that is used as a veil to present some type of persona that is blocked by a lack of motivation, also a lack of exposure to the different side of the fence, or the 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 all-around view of what's going on in the world. If you want to know what's going on a grand scheme of things, when it comes to whatever avenue that you pursue, right? You got to figure out what, who, when, why, how, based on who you want to be. You feel me? What are your goals? And what are the questions that you have pertaining to yourself and what you can identify with in your surroundings and stuff like that? You feel me? So how can you find yourself, right, in the midst of not being around certain people and being around an environment that is suitable for you? You know what I mean? So, like, where do you fit in the grand scheme of things? While on the path of becoming the new characteristics of the different phases of your life, right? So you going on a path of becoming a different version of yourself while in the midst of learning from the characteristics that you already have, right? So how do you identify with the new stages of life that is gonna leverage you to success in a way that's comfortable for yourself, even if it makes other people feel uncomfortable, knowing that they're only used to one aspect of who they think you are, or one aspect of a characteristic that they were used to, right? So lack of motivation, you feel me? So you lack motivation based off of circumstances that occur throughout life that may distract you from whatever goals you have. Or if you don't have any goals at all, you're just gonna be existing in the now. So people are gonna be like, you got to live in the now, right? Live in the now, but you don't gotta live in denial. so that you can answer the call, you know what I'm saying, when it's dialed. You feel me? That means if you don't have some type of direction for yourself, short term, long term, and within the schedule of how you designed your life, other people's directions and goals are going to affect you in a way that it shouldn't affect you, because people have their own expectations of where they want to go in life. The faster you learn that, the less disappointed you're going to feel within the process of going whatever path you decide to go, right? So you got to realize that when you have experience in traveling a certain direction and you've become confident in the walk, or aware of the path that you repetitiously travel, right? You start to notice that that becomes the norm for you, right? That's the norm for you. If you put someone on your path who don't travel those roads, it's not the norm for them, right? It's not the norm for them. So, lack of motivation, right? One, you put someone on your path that doesn't have the determination. They don't have the motivation. They don't have the willpower to sustain the path. They don't have the inspiration, and they may not have the goals of what's on that path to be continuous in that direction, right? So if I set forth to go into a direction and make something happen for myself, you feel me? I may want to go to the Chinese store. You want to go to the pizza shop. I may want Italian. You may want French. I may want African food. You want Indian food. Like, I want Dior. You want Versace. You want Fendi. You want Gucci. You want Prada. You want... So along these roads, right, is an avenue, and you traveling on the avenue, but everybody got their own style, right? But what happens is, in the beginning, everyone got their own style, so it creates a group of people that's together that has their individuality. But what happens is, people admire your style, so they complement each other, right? So you got this person in the group that look like and act like this, that person that look and talk and act like this. But for how long is that group supposed to sustain the camaraderie based on the expectations of what each individual wants? So when you're younger, it's easier because you got less responsibilities and you have less things to be accountable for, right? As you get older, you learn the difference of accountability based on philosophical teachings, meaning that everyone don't look at business the same. Everyone don't look at friendship the same. Everyone don't look at doing dirt the same. You feel me? Everyone don't look at a style the same, a way of carrying yourself in a manner that is respectable, honorable, integrity-wise, stuff like that. All those things are subjective based on personality and the environment you grew up in and stuff like that. So you're going down these avenues, and some people like taking the train, some people like taking the bus, some people like to walk, some people got scooters, some people got chauffeurs, some people got messengers. You feel me? Some people don't like to do things at all. They'll get it delivered to them. So you got different characteristics of why someone gonna do something. So I'm gonna go for a walk, right? Another person be like, nah, I'm gonna take the train. You feel me? Because however they cope with that moment of time to get to that destination, it's a form of coping with, a coping mechanism, and it's a form of therapy, and it's a form of time utilization. You feel me? So I'm utilizing my time if I'm aware of how to use my time in a manner that is suitable for myself. Or some people live in the now to where it's instinctive. So one day I might take the train, one day I might walk, one day I might get a ride, one day I may take a Uber, one day I may take a Lyft, one day I may run because I'm in a rush, or the expectations of what's going on. Like, I only have this amount of money to get to this destination, so here are my only options. What that teaches you is you learn to move within a process of being instinctive based off of your wants and needs within that situation, or within the time period of when things are supposed to happen for you, right? Not necessarily when things are supposed to happen for other people, right? And based off of your mindset and where you grew up at and how you grew up and stuff like that, you're going to realize that everyone is not built for the same experience. They're not built for the same moment of time. You feel me? They're not built for the same movement in a direction that is expected from each person. Because a person gonna be like, yo, I thought you was gonna do this, and then you looking at that person like, nigga, I thought you was gonna do this or that, or you looking at her like, I thought you was gonna do that, but you did. So now it creates separation without no longer having an expectation, only the accountability of what you told yourself that you was gonna uphold in whatever self or whatever agreement you have with that person, based on, right, the expectations now because of the previous moments, right, that were spoken of, agreed upon, and stuff like that. If those expectations continuously get held to a certain standard, right? So a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-belief, a lack of self determination, a lack of know-how, a lack of guidance. You know what I mean? So people not really guided to do certain things because there is no guidance or people that they look up to in a sense of direction, or they getting misguided based off their wants and needs. You feel me? So lack of motivation. You feel me? Sometimes you're not inspired or motivated to do certain things within the environment that you live in. And then that's another thing that you learn. You start to learn that everywhere isn't the same. So you have to adjust so that you always stay true to yourself and remain true to who you are throughout different circumstances of environment. You feel me? So it's like they wouldn't do certain things if I lived on this side of town. They wouldn't do things like how they do it on the other side of town. But in the midst of that, am I staying true to myself? Am I staying true to myself at the risk or the decision making that is going on at the moment? You feel me? When it's all said and done, am I staying true to my beliefs? Are the seeds that I planted along the way mentally that got me from point A to point B, is it evolving me, and is it evolving the people that are around me? So what you learn is people become a reflection of who you are, right? Within certain characteristics. So if you're aware of the characteristics that you displaying continuously, and it's within an environment that it's accepted, then you will see the influence and the reflection of the seeds that you planted, right? And I'm not going to say, because right now I want to be political, but I'm not going to be political. I'm not going to say positive or negative, because everyone got their own judgment of what they think is wrong and right. But also, people know when they're being vindictive in certain situations, right? So when you realize that now, there's a different approach in how you see things. And there's a different way of looking at things when you realize that. You say to yourself, okay, based off the expectations that I have for myself and the characteristics that I've acquired, I know how to move to where I'm true to myself, even though someone may not believe in you, or they switch up, or whatever the case may be. If all of those things are taking place, right, I can still be myself to my truest form, right? If I'm in a marketplace and I'm paying attention to my surroundings, and I can see the highs and the lows of my surroundings, I know what to invest in. And I know what to not invest in based off of what I want out of life. You feel me? And I know the long term and the short term goals of things. And you can see that on a plane when you're in a surrounding of a marketplace that's fluctuating continuously, right? So you got short-term investments and you got long-term investments within people, places, and things, right? So you yourself have to know what your interests are, who you be with, things that make you smile, what numbers to dial. Like, you got to understand those things that are the driving forces of you as an investor. So if I look around and I see, I'm like, okay, I like these type of women. I may like her for these reasons. I may like her for a long term because I understand the individual of who I'm dealing with at the moment or at the time and stuff like that, without having a conflict of interest if I'm clear with my communication of what I want. I may have a economy car. I may have a car that I'm renting out for making business. I may have a car that I only drive when I'm going out in the town on dates and stuff like that. I may have a car that I just want to race. I may have an outfit that I chill in. I have an outfit that I go out in because I invest in the character and the persona of who I am that I have to live in order to sustain my lifestyle and to sustain my persona while being true to myself. You feel me? So, lack of motivation only comes when you're around people that don't got a direction, or operation to where they can see things for themselves, have that vision, have that projection to where they can have you feel me? They gotta have an image of, and it could be taught, but you don't have to want to be taught these things. Who these things? One continuous in this way that you don't belong, you do belong. So you say to yourself, and you like, this person is with how they're living, right? And they found a sweet spot that works for them. There's nothing wrong with that. People that say, here's